You want to look presidential. Thomas doesn't dress so special as far as I'm concerned. But when I was on a Zoom call, I was a silent member of a Zoom call a few months ago, and with some pretty big hitters. And my guy, the U, was dressed in the uniform, and he's the only one that had a suit on. And for the first 10 or 15 minutes, everybody on the Zoom call was apologizing for being underdressed. One even said, how he could say this, a fucking idiot. I didn't know this was going to be a real business meeting. What kind of half-assed excuse is that? When the kids go into the meetings, I mean, the 50% of the time, the other people are wearing, especially on the weekends, tennis shorts, golf clothes, and you got them. All you need is a little edge, just a little edge, and you got them. Because subconsciously, they're on the defensive, or as they say in this country, they're on their back foot. All these things add up. The sales and the things that he talked about here, this was in September of last year, and he did his first deal in 81 days, and he fell short because the other guy did it faster. And he's gone to all those banks. There's about 300 banks in Canada. Everybody talks about 6 banks. There's 300. There's 650 banks in the UK. There's 2,500 banks in the United States. 2,500. When I was doing this, there was only about 1,500, and I called on every motherfucking one of them. Every single one. And then when they used to say, why does Great Western Resources have all the money they need whenever they need it? 10,000 energy companies went bankrupt when we grew at 55,000%. 10,000 went out of business because call me anything, just give me the fucking money. Right now, and Nagy was in that seminar, Nagy spends, as he said, looking for money, looking for deals. My mandate's clear. You're not there yet, but sooner than later, you're gonna be looking for deals, looking for money, your mandate's clear. As soon as you can get out of operation, it didn't take him 6 months to get out of the operation, it took him about 4 months. As soon as you can get to that, and you have to get to that to make this work at its ultimate. Not as the E-Myth book, Mr. Gerber, my old buddy, working not in the business, but on the business. As soon as you make that transition, and it just doesn't happen from Monday to Wednesday, it's a transition. But once you get out of the day-to-day bullshit, all this free time, and it's not free time because now you're looking for money and looking for deals. And it's a lot easier than dealing with human resource bullshit and this, that, because your mandate's clear. Questions or comments about, yes, sir, Thomas.
Quick question.
No, a slow question, remember?
Yes, sir. During that purchase, when he was talking about buying with the banks, and he used the 20% seller's equity back to the 100% seller finance deals that were.
Well, no, he hasn't. At that juncture, when he made this talk, he had not done 100% seller finance yet. He did 80% commercial bank debt that was covered by EBITDA, cash flow, and 20% note, which if he hadn't got the 20%, and we call it, remember, not seller's finance, we call it seller's equity. Because the first time the banker writes it down on a piece of paper, you want him to write down seller's equity. And forevermore, it's going to be fucking equity.
I guess
In fact, some of the senior bankers, they won't even know what seller's equity is. So then you want your bank representative, your credit officer, explain it to him, and then the senior banker will look down, he won't say it. They fucking pull the wool over your eyes. I mean, but it is equity. Federal banking rules mandate, or I should say don't mandate, who puts in the fucking equity? And or what is the definition of fucking equity? Albeit the fucking part. No place in the world, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Belarus, Russia, South Africa, does it define what equity is. So we're gonna use our definition. And it works easy peasy. When they start giving you this bullshit, okay, what would you, I used to carry the federal statute in my pocket. It got worn out, I don't read it that way. Is that how you read it? What are you, Japanese, Chinese? I mean, it doesn't say that at all. I have to get my supervisor in here. You better get that fucker in here then right quick, because it doesn't. It's somebody's equity. Now, will the banking regulations change? I don't give a shit, but they haven't changed in 50 years. So, but the caveat is they can always change. They haven't changed in my career, so it's not likely. Did I answer your question?
So that's basically a different structure than that 100% finance. That would just be an...
No, our ultimate goal, you're taking too much sweet and low, I'm telling you. The ultimate goal is 100% seller finance. That's where we start. But as long as free cash flow covers the debt service, we don't really give a shit. The real reason that we want seller finance is so we can do a handshake deal right today. Fuck those banks. And nobody likes banks anyway, so they'll say fuck those banks too. That's the real leverage. The real power, the hammer fucking close, is we don't have to use those whores in commercial banking. Plus we can get it done today, asshole. Today, right now. That's a powerful close. They can't wiggle around. Now, You don't have to say it as forcefully, but you heard him. I don't consider that even a forceful. I mean, look at your faces and, Jesus Christ, he's a real salesman. What did I tell you? Your parents didn't send you to school to be a salesman, did they? Well, if you don't sell, you might as well go home. And even Bill Gates, in his infinite wisdom, at age 65 years old, now says the most important thing running a company is being able to sell. Fuck. Yeah.
To issue the note, do you need to be a creditor? Are there any regulations around that? With
You
the
lost
sellers, you're technically buying it on credit from him, right?
No. You're buying. Everybody understand no money down house. Buy a house for no money down. It's been around since the Civil War. This is no money down buying companies. It's no fucking different. Instead of the little shitbox house that you bought for $65,000, no money down, you're buying something for $6.5 million, $650,000. It's exactly the same principle. And it's been around since the Civil fucking War. In fact, the black people after the Civil War that were allowed to own real estate, it was the first no money down butt fuck. Because how are they gonna have any money, right? How are they gonna get any fucking credit, right? Well, we're gonna give them no money fucking down. And it's gonna be government guaranteed. I believe it was the first government guaranteed loan in the history of America. So black people could buy fucking houses after the Civil War. And that is still in existence today. You're making it more difficult than it is. So our ultimate goal is 100% seller finance, excuse me. But I mean, the cash flow, I know he wouldn't have bought the goddamn thing if the cash flow didn't cover the 80% of debt service. But your boards they'll get diarrhea. They have never heard about no money down. I guarantee you. So the real challenge is convince the board. And if you have to convince the board, you can get rid of them. You even have to go through the process. Because they've never not done a no money down deal. They've heard of no money down house flipping, and then you just segue right into that, and it's perfect. And it happens to be the truth. The irony of this deal, and maybe I am going to go to heaven like the nuns say, because this is a truthful motherfucking model. There's no bullshit in it. I'd like to put some bullshit in it just so I could butt fuck a few people, but I haven't in all these years. No money down is our ultimate, and then we fall away from that depending on whether we're going to close the sale or not. And when you're doing the SBA, these are for the guys in America, in the SBA, some banks will consider, or take, I should say, seller's finance as the equity portion, and some won't. But if you don't ask, you don't get. When like the example of the black gal I talked about earlier, they accepted it. If I went dressed like that, fuck, But anyways, I told you got to do what you got to do, sweetheart. So she's doing what she got to do. But yeah, I'm going to have to get the rest of the story why the head of fucking SBA comes out. I mean, I can fantasize why, but so do we understand that? Okay, comments, questions about Thomas other than he's a power seller, which he is. Yes, sir.
I've noticed he's a lot like everything we've learned during a week. Time is of the essence.
It's the only time you can't get back. Now, I've made a lot of money and lost a lot of money. I've lost hundreds of millions in a day. I mean, but I would trade all that for another 10 years. Because you can't get back to time. Now, when you're 20 or 25 or 30 or 35, like you kids, what's the old man talking about? But for some of the older guys that are 45, 50, 55, you know what the fuck I'm talking about. And yet you know absolutely what I'm talking about. And right now, they're paving. It's unbelievable. When I see some of the monkeys, I bet all my money they could never do it. That's when I feel the best. When I bet all my money this little prick couldn't do it. And then he does it. Fuck, that makes me feel good. God damn, this model's so fucking good, this fucking cretin, 40 IQ, with one eye, one leg, his nose got bit off, and he did it. You know the fucking model's good. Black, yellow, purple, doesn't make a shit. And the model works, there's no question about it. Now, intellectually, it's easier, fuck, that guy's a polished guy, that's why he's, just like Josh Kim is Michelangelo. You know what I'm talking about. But you can't call that guy from Belgium Michelangelo, who's throwing up on himself. That's you. So don't wear your best shoes because it'll ruin them. And vomit doesn't come out of shoes. I can attest to that. They don't clean up right after that, no matter how many times you fucking polish them. Okay, anything else about Thomas? Yes, sir.
He talked about taking himself out of the business and maybe hiring an operational manager.
Not maybe.
I mean, Are we going to talk more about that?
Yeah. Because originally when he came to me, he's got a great business. One of the fastest growing, IT, whatever, I don't know what the fuck he does anyway. And I said, you can and because his platform was going to be to expand on that, I said, make you your first acquisition. Your first acquisition is you, and sell to the employees. But as it turned out, it wasn't his first acquisition. But I mean, he follows the scripts to a T. And English isn't his primary language, which he sounds pretty good, doesn't he? the French is. Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine how slick he is in French. He must be slicker than baby shit. I mean, anything else about, yes sir, in the back.
Yes, sir. Could you speak more about power ties and like dressing?
You should all subscribe, it's free, to that website. White shirts are in, everything else is out. I'll just make it simple. White shirts are in, everything else, I mean shirts-wise. Pinstripes are fine, three-piece suits are fine. And I know the kids now don't wear cuffs, pants. Some of the new modern suits that, I can't get them over my thighs or my calves. So, yeah, so that's not me, okay? Tom Ford is not the model that I can wear. The dark suits, either dark gray, black, or blue. I know some of the kids, and even I do once in a while, I wear, red socks or some shit like that, but basically dark socks, dark shoes. And of course, I've more or less brought into fashion boutonnieres again, and that's fine. Pocket scarves, the white is good, but as long as they match. And I know the modern thing is the guys wear suits that are too tight. I know that's the vogue now. It's as far as I can tell, nobody's got any muscles in this fucking room, but I mean, where, the shirts, the president of Bank of America isn't going to be impressed by your suit because it's too tight. Looser is better, as Sally would say, and when you get older, you can get fat. I won't add that part on. I just gave away about 200 suits in the last couple of years. It took me 2 years to try on all the suits in all my closets. I gave about 200 suits away earlier this year. Because if you haven't worn it but I can still get in them, which I was proud of. But if you haven't worn a suit in 10 years, it's not likely you're gonna wear it. And my suits have been the same style for 30, 40 years, but I gave them away. The Oxfam, which is like a charity here. The president, the way the prime minister dresses, the way Trump dresses, the way the senators and members. Now in Afghanistan, they wear the robe. I don't mean that, but I mean suits. You wanna look like them. You wanna look like them. Yes, sir.
What about the double-breasted?
The double-breasted is fine. Bodo used to be a very classy dresser. I mean, he was the style in the 90s. I'm sure he still dresses well. But I mean, you want to look presidential. You want to look presidential. Thomas doesn't dress so special as far as I'm concerned. But when I was on a Zoom call, I was a silent member of a Zoom call a few months ago, and with some pretty big hitters. And my guy, the U, was dressed in the uniform, and he's the only one that had a suit on. And for the first 10 or 15 minutes, everybody on the Zoom call was apologizing for being underdressed. One even said, how he could say it, he's a fucking idiot. I didn't know this was going to be a real business meeting. What kind of half-assed excuse is that? When the kids go into the meetings, I mean, the 50% of the time, the other people are wearing, especially on the weekends, tennis shorts, golf clothes, and you got them. All you need is a little edge, just a little edge, and you got them. Because subconsciously, they're on the defensive, or as they say in this country, they're on their back foot. All these things add up. Earrings are out. If you got tattoos, cover them up. Some of the kids, myself included, wear bow ties. Bow ties are all right. Bow ties look better, I think, on older guys than young guys, but I mean, some guys wear bow ties. Gals know how to dress. I don't need to teach them. The gals just dress professionally. I'm gonna ask Black Beauty how she's dressing. I'm gonna wait till the deal closes to not fuck it up. There's plenty of off the peg, as they say, clothes. I tried to buy Brooks Brothers when a bank went bankrupt earlier this year because I was buying Brooks Brothers clothes since Abraham Lincoln. They fitted him up. I haven't been around that long, but I tried to buy Brooks Brothers. I wanted to buy the New York, the London, and the Beverly Hills branch of Brooks Brothers. Some guy came in and paid too much for all of them. Brooks Brothers is the best bang for your buck for men's clothes. It's the best and least expensive. It's not cheap, but I mean, it's not like Walmart's. But I mean, I didn't even know they sold suits. I just found that out in the last few months that Walmart sells clothes. I don't know. Any other questions? Yes, sir, in the back.
What kind of colors for ties?
You can have a red tie is fine. We've had guys come in with ties, pigs fucking and shit like, I mean, that's out. And around the holidays, you can have, Christmas type ties. And you can always be underdressed, but you can never be too overdressed. Now, I'm not telling you to come in a tuxedo. I don't mean it that way. But I mean, nobody will chastise you or look down upon you if you come overdressed. In this game, because a lot of your kids and you have no experience, you want as many little check marks in your favor that they don't have. And one of them is going to be how you dress in the uniform. And the reason why I make the uniform mandatory at the seminars, they're not mandatory at the hardcore. You can wear festive clothes at the hardcore seminar. But it's because you want them to get their mind off of or on, well, fuck, this kid must be serious. The kids that with, tattoos and earrings don't come in trying to borrow or get money from a commercial bank wearing a 3-piece suit or a 2-piece suit. They just don't. And there's a whole other theory, about that. But I've been around doing this a long time. And remember, dress British and think Yiddish. dress British and think Yiddish. A pocket watch isn't necessary. I should get a franchise for all the fucking pocket watches the guys are wearing now. I've been dressing like this a long time. And the tailors I use, one is a tailor for the royal family named John Kent in London. He's still there. He's not dead now because of Corona. I use another one in Edinburgh named Peter Johnson. He's a great tailor, but John makes clothes for the royal family and has for 40 years. Bespoke, as they say, bespoke clothes. But how you look, you have 2 times to make a first impression, kids. 2, how you look, and then when you open your fucking mouth. And like Thomas said, I've always spoke well. As far as the people that I've talked to, he has. But he was the Steve Jobs black t-shirt, black jeans kid. And there's a whole generation and a half that's grown up thinking that that's, well, if you're Steve Jobs, you can get fine, but you're not. And that's what I used to tell kids. Richard Branson used to wear jogging suits until he got knighted. And the dress is, and I like dark suits all year round, even though on September, on May 31st or June 1, you can go to summer, which is lighter colored clothes. I don't do that. I wear the same color clothes all the time. And then on Labor Day or the 2 days, September, that weekend, whatever that weekend is, they change in clothes. I don't wear a hat, although my head's getting balder. I might have to start, my head's starting to get cold. I never thought my head would get cold, but in the last 10 years, I can feel my head getting cold when I go out. And guys that have short hair like you guys, I mean, fuck. How you look is really important. And shoes shined, I mean, I shouldn't have to say that, but there's a whole theory that your shoes should be all fucked up on the kids. Of course, the kids, I think the kids come up with these deals because they're lazy. Now, I don't shine my own shoes. I don't set my own clothes out. All the stuff that he was lamenting about, Edward does. But for a lot of years, I did it myself. Okay, thank you, YouTube.